All right, we're here on Morning Kick around Jason Davis, getting an opportunity to talk soccer memorabilia, authenticated real stuff with Ski from the Realest, who joins us here on the program. First of all, thank you for the time. We appreciate you coming by.
Honored to be here, Jason. Thank you for having me.
So this is an interesting idea, and as someone who grew up just absolutely immersed in American sports history, I'm extremely fascinated by what you got going on here. And now, obviously, as a soccer guy, this is something that I don't think I've thought about in terms of soccer because I don't know. I don't know. As I grew up, it was always like a baseball signed by somebody or something like that. How does soccer play with this idea of authentic memorabilia, signatures, game use stuff like that?
I mean, when you look at soccer, right, it's by far the most popular sport on the globe. You look at the most famous people in the world, it is the top soccer players, right? And there's been historical sales, right? Like we've seen what Messi's jerseys from the World Cup, the group of those selling for $8 million at auction, right? Like, which sounds crazy, but is probably a steal in retrospect, in comparison, seeing how some of these other greats jerseys are now being priced. And we just think that, when you look at the market, historically, America has been a leader in the memorabilia category, to your point, starting with baseball cards. The name for the category is, a lot of times people call them baseball cards, even if they are other sports. And so it's been a leg up. But we think with collectibles becoming mainstream, with it growing, and with kind of the world becoming more ubiquitous, soccer's become, such a big kind of key area and so ripe for growth, which is why we've seen an explosion in our work this past year with the MLS and FIFA around the Club World Cup.
Okay. So it is therealist.com where you can check out what Ski's got going on here. And again, it's a marketplace for memorabilia, for sports memorabilia. And I guess again, sort of acknowledging that I didn't connect with soccer the same way I used to connect with baseball in terms of memorabilia. What is the market? I mean, yes, Lionel Messi jerseys, clearly everybody wants a game-worn World Cup Lionel Messi jersey. He's the god. But is there a marketplace for things that aren't quite on that same level?
Absolutely, right? Like we want to have, and part of us too is introducing these products to new audiences. A lot of people just don't realize that, hey, you can actually buy something that was used from a game, from a jersey from one of their favorite players, that doesn't have to be the star player, right? Like everybody's wearing a jersey, and if you go to a game, right, like kids, when I talk to players all the time, they're like, yeah, kids are always asking me, not even for a jersey, right, but for like a sweatband, for a water bottle. People want something as a memento that's there, and we think that that market is massive. I mean, there's historical data of jerseys, including in soccer, being sold at significant value. Obviously, Messi is on the higher end of that, but I mean, we've had tremendous success selling game worn jerseys for thousands of dollars from regular matches and things like that. Obviously, it depends on, a lot of it depends on the game, the match, the team, the player. There's a lot of variables that go into it, but it's really a memento that you take with you that represents more than just a jersey that you can get, and is also being treated now as an alternative asset.
So the other part of this, I mean, you said it's the most popular sport in the world. It's also just the biggest in terms of volume. Like the number of actual professional soccer matches that go on any given year is insane. It's something I always have to talk about with people who don't know soccer. It's like there's this league and that other league, and which one's the best is sometimes not clear. We have clear ideas of who the greats are in our American sports because there's one league for each of them, or you might talk about college a little bit. How does that work? I mean, just making sure that you're kind of the sectionality of that sport is represented in a way that will reflect the market, but also you're trying to be a little selective, right?
There's fandom everywhere. I think there's two things at play. There's people that are buying for flips and for value, and there is opportunities in lower markets. I mean, if you look at, going back to your analogy of baseball cards, the most expensive and popular cards today are Bowman minor league rookie cards, right? Because people are gambling that they are going to become the next superstar. So that's where the most action is. And the most value is that player's first card. So there's opportunity on lower level leagues, on entry level leagues. And then the second half is pure fandom that plays into a fan's heart. Wherever you grow up, whatever your team of, no matter what league you're in, you could be in Bundesliga, you could be in Serie A, you could be in MLS, you could be in, MLS Next, you could be in somewhere else. Like there are people going to that game. There are people that are fans of that, whether it's embedded in them from birth, or they are a fan of the player, or they just happen to go to that game and have a great time. What we kind of sell is those memories, right? Like we are selling jerseys no different than what you could buy in a team store, other than the fact that this is the only one in the world that was actually worn by that player, and that has an intrinsic value that represents so much more than that. And we kind of unlock that through this unique authentication process we do. So we think that there's kind of a couple plays. Like some of it is for memory and pure nostalgia, to remember and reminisce on a moment that you can definitively point that represents something.
So talk about that process of authentication and making sure, because one thing we touched on before you jumped on, and certainly I would love to hear about, is how do I know that what I'm buying is the real thing?
It's a great question, and that's been one of the biggest challenges in this industry. I mean, like, look, not to hide anything, when people think of memorabilia and it's like kind of a shady industry. It's like old school and dirty and dusty. And I mean, the FBI estimates up to 90% of memorabilia out there may be fraudulent, which is just an insane stat. Like, it ponders your mind, and we've seen it over and over on the biggest auction sites in the world, selling items that come with a certificate of authentication that may be signed by somebody. They're really meaningless. We found, one of the reasons we launched the business is, there was only really one league doing it right, which was Major League Baseball, who used this witness-based sophisticated program, best in the industry by far. There's not even a number two. And we asked, why is every other sports property not doing that? And that's how we work. We work direct with the source. We don't take third-party items. So we're not the eBay or, a Golden, an auction site where you can go consign things. We are getting them from the field. We have authenticators on site, collecting them, watching them. We covertly mark them. We overtly mark them with a sticker after. It's a really comprehensive process in how we definitively track that, but it allows us to be the true source of truth, which we think is the foundation for everything. Because I mean, imagine buying a jersey, whether it's $1 million or even, $1,000, you want to be sure that that's real. And not many people can guarantee that right now.
Yeah, that absolutely. I mean, in this world where nothing is what it seems and all that, I can understand why this would be an incredibly valuable service, just to have somebody saying, we saw this come off the player, or we saw that the player gave this to the league, gave this to us, and we're passing it on to chain of custody. Are you guys dealing with chain of custody?
No, it's like literally like it's rooted in evidence collection. I mean, like, look, we brought in experts from the FBI and from security firms and these things to build it. And like, it's a real process. And you also can't trust, like, not that you can't trust the teams. It's not the team's jobs. Like, it's a specialized skill set where even in the past, we've seen teams and leagues make mistakes, and a lot of other companies, because the equipment manager might be looking away and there's multiple jerseys. There's always a backup. The player could have kept it, right? So you never know, and that's not their job, right? So we think that it's, foolish to just depend on those things, which is why we bring in trusted third parties whose whole job is this. There's enough value and money in these things. We've got to get this right.
Seems very complicated logistically. Like, that just makes my brain hurt a little bit, Ski. You think about the number of people and all that, and even vetting them, right? Vetting each one of those people. You have to be sure.
Look, that's why we launched the business. My co-founder Vanika was working for one of the Major League Baseball teams for the last 15 years. So we're fortunate that we have outsized experience, but you're right. That's why we launched this business and where we saw the opportunity. It doesn't make sense for clubs to build it themselves. Even leagues, it's too big. We have, hundreds of people that we work with across the globe, right, that go out and do this, that are vetted, that go through intense background checks, that we have multiple people on site. We have our own proprietary tech. It is a really, it sounds easy, oh, well, they'll go take the jersey. We are absolutely certain of everything that we sell, and we back it with the best guarantee in the industry.
So, again, talking about the vastness of this game that we love, and the international flavor of it, right? That thing is a complicating factor. It doesn't have to mean that you can't do it, but I do wonder, how are you sort of translating what you're doing into those different cultures? I mean, like, if I'm an American soccer fan, I may love the Bundesliga, I may love Serie A, I can go find an AC Milan shirt that I want to buy, but how do the people in Italy connect with you guys if they want to buy an AC Milan shirt?
100%. I mean, that's the kind of our benefit of working with the source, right? We get that instant credibility because you know it's coming from the team. We're not taking it from a fan who's like, oh, he threw it in the crowd and I got this jersey from a player, where we could never truly source that. We work in partnership with these clubs, so they're able to go directly to their audience and message that. And then we have such a great pulse on the collector community. I've been super deep in this scene, for a long, long time. And it's still relatively small. For me, it's not just like, we get kind of the obvious of the buyers that are out there. We're getting like the obvious benefits from working with these clubs, but for us, it's really storytelling. At the end of the day, that's what we are selling. Like, let's make no bones about it. We're not selling a jersey made of gold that's different. It's the same one you could buy from a club store, in essence. Some of them will sometimes have like different, obviously, like markings or something on it, but the value is that moment. And for me, it was, falling in love with sports. I grew up in Minneapolis, so it was the '91 Twins when they won the World Series. Like that, like I wanted to search and get as close to the game as possible. And we see that. You mentioned it with AI and this kind of era. People want tangible items that are real. And for us, we think that like providing that value and telling a story and how we go out and engage. And an example is how we collected snow this season with the Philadelphia Eagles and bottled it into a local kind of, we made it like pseudo, like off the Rita's Italian, like Philly water ice, and bottled it, and that went viral, right? Because it was snow, but it reflected such an important moment in Eagles lore, right? And we were able to certify that. And when people are buying it, they're not buying it because it's snow, they're buying it because of the memory that it holds, which could be more than the game. It could be being there with their family, being that, how important this was, how they watched it. It was, a year they won the Super Bowl. So like, it's all those intangibles that go in. So I think for us, it really boils down to storytelling. And that was kind of my career before I launched this business, and why I think we're in such a unique place is we just, have a deep understanding of how to create content and storytell and also elevate these. I mean, for us, like, yes, of course, we're a business and want to make money, but for me, it's really about preserving and legacy, and we storytell through physical product.
So I'm taking a look and I'm scrolling. I encourage other people to do that. Therealest.com for all of this stuff. I mean, it's a little overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie, Ski. It's a little overwhelming. There's a lot
It's a lot
to
out
look at here. I mean, and I'm clicking, looking for what, for the soccer stuff. So you tell me what has popped up in terms of soccer that kind of, maybe surprised you, or maybe just it feels like something truly special. I mean, I'm not saying that a Benjamin Kramaski jersey from MLS Media Day isn't cool. I get it, but what is the thing that you're like, oh wow, I can't believe that's here, or what, we got our hands on this?
You know what I love? Like, transparently, of course, like all of our, and we've been fortunate, we've set records at the highest level in every category that we go. So like the big sales are always awesome, right? Like it's what we're talking about, even like with a messy $8 million jersey sale, but that's kind of like obvious and table stakes, and transparently, like not that difficult to do. If I gave you a Messi's game worn jersey, JC, you could probably sell it for a bunch of money, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's not
probably.
that
Yeah.
tough. I mean,
I know some people. Yeah.
we think we do a better job than anybody else out there, and it's backed. But for me, what really excites me is how we create products and how we're able to upcycle all these other items that are maybe less spectacular than that, right? Like, we're able to take things from like in soccer specifically, from whether it's arm bag, it's corner flags, like things that are really cool and presentable. And for me, it's creating accessible product. It's not just like these high-end records, because when I was a kid, like I thought $100 Ken Griffey Jr. card would, like, I would never be able to afford that, right? So many of these jerseys are just not affordable to the average kid, and that's not going to grow the category. You grow the category by offering things that are cheap and entry level, and we've done that with a number of our clients. So I get really excited when we sell a piece of a net, or when we productize something and create 1,000, net pieces in like an acrylic display that's elevated and presented really well, right? And can give 1,000 new fans the opportunity to own and engage something from the game. And that kind of gets their collector journey started. I started off buying small cards, and now, have way too much stuff, right? But like, it doesn't start, like I didn't start buying, $1 million item, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's. I'm thinking it through the evolution of this kind of thing. I mean, obviously, people have always had stuff or kept something that meant something to them.
Look behind you, right?
Like, well, yeah,
this
so much stuff given to me over the years, right? And I'm blessed that way. Not, I wouldn't say any of this is going to go for a lot of money on the Realest, but it's still cool that I have it, and it does mean stuff. It means something to me because I built a career in this sport. But you're talking about that. You referenced the Griffey rookie card. That was the holy grail for us. I think if we're of roughly the same age, then absolutely, when I was a kid, that was the card everybody wanted. And I'm wondering, like, if there is, if you feel like there's a cultural structure to this. Maybe it's building, maybe it's not quite there yet, because if baseball cards is kind of the thing that is like the origin of Americans collecting things around the sports that they care about, is that something that still is forming in other places? Is there, I mean, I
Yeah.
know Panini sticker books are a thing in other parts of the world, but it doesn't feel the same as a baseball card to me.
You nailed it, right? Like it's still early in this category, and there's a number of headwinds, right? I mean, even just today, eBay announced that they've done, I think, like $10 billion, and their collectibles business alone is $10 billion, and that's all like third party, right? It's not even from the source. Typically, like the source hasn't done that, and there's a bunch of headwinds at that. Like the category is growing, as you mentioned. We live in a world where like AI and deep fakes and all of these things are taking over. So we think dictating what is real is only going to get more valuable, especially with the amount of fraud. Fans want to be closer to their favorite games and moments. There's very few things that unite the world. It's really like sports, music, entertainment, right? Like the only time the world is all together is watching the World Cup, watching the Super Bowl, watching these sporting events and sectors, or and that is wildly powerful. Like that's how we identify. And so for us, we think like giving people, hey, they're waiting in line hours, spending a fortune on merch. There's a lot of people who want more than that, who want something that can reflect something. And that even whether it's like, again, an alternative asset value or just something behind you that represents, hey, I went to this match. It might be unspectacular to the world, but to you, that was the match that you went at. We think all those things are there. So as like a combination of the collectible industry explodes, people want to stand out and dictate what's real, and transparently getting introduced to these products, which is why it's so important for us to have all these categories. That's why we're so excited about the sector as a whole. And we think like internationally, because the whole world has been behind, like the US is led in categories of like memorabilia and collectibles and cards. The rest of the world is catching up. Like we're seeing this, and now every club internationally is at some point sold their jerseys and thinking about what memorabilia is for them.
Very cool stuff. If I had a little bit more money and a partner who would understand, I would be on your site quite a bit. But for the moment, I'll just send people there. Hopefully people check it out and buy something cool at therealest.com. Thank you so much for the time and the introduction to this. It's incredible.
Of course, thank you so much, Jason. Really appreciate the time as well.